What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to this channel. Hey, mamas. This has been an exciting journey this month as we have delved into some of the benefits of breastfeeding for mom. And so this week, we're going to be talking a little bit about some of the ways that it can prepare you for high-level goal achievement. So I just want to say, hey mama, welcome back to this channel. My name is Vanessa Simmons. I'm the founder and photographer behind the Normalize Breastfeeding movement. And I have been so excited to be on this journey, helping you to learn a little bit more about why breastfeeding is so great for you. So before we get into it, I just want to remind you, if you haven't already subscribed to this channel, be sure to hit that like button on this video, hit the subscribe button, go ahead and subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications so that you get notified every time that our videos are published. All right, so let's jump into it. This week, we're talking about benefits of breastfeeding for mom, and we're talking about preparation for high-level goal achievement. So what does that really mean? Well, high-level goals are goals that you only imagine in your mind, goals that seem unattainable, goals that make you feel like you might not ever want to get started or that you might not ever finish. These are the type of goals that I believe breastfeeding really prepares you for in life. And so something that I've seen in my own life is that some of the obstacles that you go through, some of the things that you overcome and get to a point of being able to achieve in breastfeeding really help you to create and become more aware of that self-determination factor that is so key for this journey. So we're going to jump right in and talk about 4 different things that I really believe there's 4 different kind of levels as to how you will attain these goals, okay? And we're going to use them with the preface of breastfeeding duration. So in the first 0 to 3 months after your baby is born, that time is all about effort. And that time is all about really taking the time to really learn what you're doing as a breastfeeding mom, learning all of the different ways that you can get to know and bond with your baby, but also learning all of the different ways that you can become available, right? And making yourself available to nurse your child. And then skill comes in between 3 and 6 months. This is when you're experiencing the growth spurts, right? You're experiencing your baby probably getting their first tooth. You're experiencing all of these different things that can be really, really challenging to the journey. But if you focus on some of the skill levels of skin-to-skin contact and, learning your baby's feeding cues and really helping to comfort your baby with breastfeeding, these are some skills that will pay off in the long run. Another one from 6 to 12 months, it's really all about determination. As those teeth start cutting, as your baby starts showing interest to solid foods, as your provider might possibly be pushing you to feel like you need to start formula feeding and stop breastfeeding, it's really all about determination. It's mental at that point, and you just got to push through to reach your goal. Now, the World Health Organization recommends a minimum of 2 years for breastfeeding. So if that's your goal, then I want to say that from 12 to 24 months, that toddler breastfeeding stage, it's really all about vision. You've got to have a clear and purposeful vision of the future, of why you're doing this in the first place, and what is it going to look like when you get there? What's it going to look and feel like for your baby to have been nurtured and nourished in this way? So when we think about effort when it comes to breastfeeding, this is really about initiation, right? It's those first few moments after your baby is born. And a lot of us, when we're pregnant, we spend the whole time focused on the pregnancy. And then all of a sudden at the end, we're like, oh yeah, breastfeeding. Oh yeah, baby's born and they put the baby on. You're like, oh yeah, breastfeeding, right? And this is not what we want to do. What we want to do is we want to really focus on that last trimester, focusing on what we're going to do to prepare for that, right? Because the effort is really a mental game as well. You have to prepare yourself for the fact that you're going to have a new human being that has a high level of need from you, while you are also going to lack sleep and lack time and feel exhausted and feel like you don't want to do these things, right? So once you start to mentally prepare for that, you can start to see that there's going to be a shift in your attitude, a shift in your attention, right? You're going to start to align yourself with this goal. And then in that effort, that is going to be the time where you're going to express to your partner, your spouse, what you need, what is going to help you. And this is the time for them to really become someone who is a huge support in this role of you breastfeeding this baby. Breastfeeding is a learned skill, so it's learned in practice. Just like anything new, it will take time and effort. So it's something that you cannot expect to happen overnight, especially if you're a first-time mom. And if it does, that's amazing. But for most women, it's not the case. For most women, obstacles are normal, struggles are completely okay, and you learn as you go. So another thing is you want to focus on what's working and then work on what's not working for you, okay? Because as you focus on the positive, as you focus on the things that are going well, it's easier to take that first step and determine, okay, what's not working for me? What are some things I can do to start to work on these things and start to tighten up and fill in the gaps of my learning experience or my baby's learning experience so that we can make this all work together. And some of those things would look like getting involved in a support group, right, online, getting some lactation consultations, right, making sure that everything is cohesive, working well, you're producing enough milk, maybe getting your baby weighed every few weeks to see how your baby's progressing, and also making sure that you're comparing your baby to the growth chart of breast milk fed babies. Okay, because most providers in their health offices will have growth charts for formula fed babies. So make sure you ask your provider if that growth chart is specifically for exclusively breastfed babies. So our next one is skill. And this is really, I look at this funny in this image because this is modern times, right? Women are nursing their babies and on their phones. And while it's not the best thing for your baby because that amount of radiation near your baby's head is really not a good thing, I did it too. So guilty, right? I just want to say that the skill level is really about being able to manage breastfeeding and also multitask in other areas. So whether that's being on your phone, taking a phone call, reading a book, drinking water while you're nursing, cooking while you're nursing, right? That all is possible at this, 3 to 6 month stage. And so you're able to kind of, your baby knows how to latch on at this point. You feel comfortable latching your baby and you're able to adjust your baby as necessary. They might even know how to breastfeed and sit up at this point in time as well. So on the WIC breastfeeding website for the U.S. Department of Agriculture, they talk a little bit about some of the skills that you'll need to really be able to breastfeed your baby. And I love some of these. It's telling you that these skills will help you to make more milk. So you don't want to focus on increasing the milk, right? You want to focus on the skills. So breastfeed every single time your baby's hungry, right? Okay, that makes sense. Make sure that your baby is latching well so that there is a good transfer of milk happening between you and baby. Another thing is offering both breasts on each feed. So if you start on this side and you switch to this side, when your baby goes to sleep and wakes up, you start on this side and then you switch to that side, right? And then another thing is emptying both breasts at feeding. So if your baby falls asleep after you've switched them to the other side, you can simply hand express, or you can use some kind of a haka, which is a milk collection device, or a pump to try and express the rest of the milk out of that breast. That is going to tell your baby that is going to tell your body that you need that milk. If you don't express the milk, your body will slow down production. A lot of people forget this really key point. Another thing is to avoid bottles and pacifiers in the very early stages of breastfeeding, because it will teach your baby that sucking without getting milk is okay. And then that tells your body, slow down milk production. It says to get plenty of sleep and eat a healthy diet, but let's be real with me. The hard part about getting sleep is that you're really not sleeping, right? If you're sleeping for 15 minutes, that's not sufficient. So what I try to recommend is that you get rest. And rest just means getting horizontal, laying down and making sure that your feet are up and that your body is in a relaxed position. That does not mean being on your cell phone while you're trying to get rest. You want to be away from everything, maybe have some calming music playing in the background, something to keep you at a really calm and rested state. And then another skill is learning how to pump, right? Using a pump, finding a hand expression pump. All of those things can help you to develop these skills. The last one is take care of yourself. You want to make sure that you practice self-care in these times because so much is required of you from your baby. So focus on increasing your skills and not on increasing your milk supply. That's going to help you to stay in the right mindset. So another one is determination. When you get to that 6 to 12 month, kind of milestone, a lot of women will stop at that point because that's the minimum requirement, right? For health and for recommendations across the board. But you want to remember that word minimum, because doing the bare minimum in life in general will get you bare minimum results. So if you do the bare minimum and you get the bare minimum results, and then later on in life, you're wondering, well, why didn't breastfeeding protect us against this, that, or the other? Well, if you remember in my previous video, the very first video of this series, your short and long-term health benefits, that initiation helped with some of the benefits, but duration, extended periods of breastfeeding is what gave you those big, overwhelming results. So what you want to do is focus on staying determined, using self-determination, right? Deciding within yourself that I am determined to do this no matter what. That is going to get you to the goal that helps you to receive the benefits of nursing for a long period of time. And some of those are like prevention against cardiovascular disease and prevention against cancers and things like that. Those long-term benefits are going to come from long-term duration of breastfeeding. Up to 12 months, that is going to be what's required of you. There was a study done in the International Breastfeeding Journal among Chinese women who were living in Ireland. And it was really interesting, some of the things that they found. But it's called, I Was Determined to Breastfeed and I Always Found a Solution. So they talk about exclusive breastfeeding among these mothers. And the thing that stood out to me the most was that the mothers believed in the self-determination aspect, saying that it was the foremost, most important aspect of breastfeeding. So of course, you have to breastfeed your baby consistently. You have to stay knowledgeable of the benefits of breastfeeding, and you also have to make that really clear decision that this is what you want for you and your child, and that you take the time to intentionally seek out that knowledge so that you know that you're getting what you need, you know that you're doing it properly, and you know that you have support and guidance along the way. I love this so much because they talked a little bit about all of these different aspects. I'll link this study in the description box below. So focus on the benefits, right? Not on the obstacles, because the obstacles are always going to be present. But if you take the time and you focus on the benefits, you're going to really see that those things are going to push you forward. Those things are going to make you feel more ready and willing to do what you've got to do for your baby and for yourself. So another one is vision. And this one is the most important, I believe. You've got to have a vision of where you're going. So as you're getting started, you don't want to start with the idea of, well, I'll just breastfeed for as long as I can. That's not going to help you get past the first week, because sometimes that first week can be really, really difficult, whether it's cracked and bleeding nipples or soreness or low milk supply, whatever it might be. It's very important to understand that the first 0 to 14 days is going to determine how well you're going to do in the next year or two. So if your idea was ever, I want to breastfeed my baby for the minimum world health requirement, which is a minimum of 2 years, then you've got to have a vision in mind. You've got to see where you're going. I love this so much. The UT Southwestern Medical Center posted a blog about 5 tips for successful breastfeeding. But the thing that stood out to me the most in this post, it talked about how from a young age, many women actually envision themselves of becoming a mother and breastfeeding their baby. I don't know about you, but I did this. I remember putting a basketball under my dress when I was little and pretending I was pregnant, and then getting my baby dolls and acting like I was nursing. I want you to think about the fact that most women do not see their mother or auntie or cousin or the women in their lives nursing babies. And because we don't, it doesn't come naturally to us. Back in the day when we had tribal systems, you would see this happening every time a mother had a baby. So for you, in your mind, it was the normal thing to do. You knew on the point of getting pregnant that you were going to breastfeed your baby, right? Now we live in very individualistic society where women have to make that determination, make that decision either on their own or with their spouse. And this is something that is difficult, because once a woman has decided that she's going to go back to work, now she's questioning, should she breastfeed at all? Right? Now she's questioning, should I just formula feed and skip all of the drama of breastfeeding, regardless of the benefits that are available to her and her baby? So mothers have this long-held vision, right, of feeling that they're going to breastfeed, and then when they're unable to, they feel like failures. This happened to me in my after my first baby was born, and I started feeling like, if this can't work, like, what is my worth as this baby's mom? But I did push through. I did use self-determination, and that is why this stuck out to me so much, is because that vision that you hold of yourself in your mind can actually be the determining factor. If you envision yourself not breastfeeding, you can actually have less probability of getting to your goal. So if you envision yourself breastfeeding, even if you feel like you're failing, I said this in the first video too, even if you feel like you're failing, keep going, keep trying every single time, every little way that you can, because you're going to find out that you're learning the skills over time, And you're eventually going to get to that point that you've always imagined. So focus on building the vision, not on tearing it down. Okay. This has been another amazing video. I am so thankful to have this opportunity to share what I've learned on my journey and how it can impact yours. Leave a comment, subscribe, and like this video. Don't forget to turn on your post notification so that you get notified every time our videos go live. We've got more content coming up for you in just a moment. Have a great one.